Hello! Today we're going to introduce the idea of dimensional analysis. Let's start here. Try on your own. How many seconds are there in 2 minutes? Hopefully you saw in 1 minute we have 60 seconds. So in 2 minutes we would have 120 seconds, double the number of seconds. Without realizing it, you've already done some dimensional analysis. Congratulations! You started with a unit of minutes, and you change that unit into a final unit of seconds using some conversion between the two units that you knew. All right, so what is dimensional analysis? Well, it's a process of converting between different units. It uses this idea of conversion factors, which are fractions with the same quantity in the top and bottom of the fraction, but in different units. We multiply conversion factors by a starting value to express that value, but in different units. So I've set up some conversions. I haven't actually written them as fractions yet, but some conversions that you already know. For example, 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. 24 hours is equal to 1 day. 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So if I were to set that up as a fraction, well, 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer, these two values are exactly the same distance. So that's kind of like having a fraction of the same quantities on the top and bottom, which is of course equal to 1. So all I'm doing is multiplying a starting value by these conversion factors. It's essentially like multiplying by 1, but the whole idea is to get me into a new unit. All right, pause this video please and make sure to take some relevant notes in your notebook before we move forward to a quick example. All right, so how many seconds are there in 3.5 minutes? Let's set this up as a proper dimensional analysis problem. The unit that I'm starting in, starting unit, which I'm going to call SU, starting unit, is, well, the value that I'm given is 3.5, and it's in the unit of minutes. So the unit that I'm starting in, the unit that the measurement they give me is in, is minutes. My final unit, which I'm going to call FU, final unit, the unit I'm trying to get into is seconds. And my conversion between the two, my conversion factor, is I know that 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. All right, I always set up these problems the same way. I take whatever measurement they've given me. How do I recognize if it's a measurement? Well, I look for some number that has only one unit associated with it, 3.5 minutes. And now I'm going to multiply 3.5 minutes by my conversion factor. Notice the conversion factor is general, not specific to the starting value. So regardless of how many minutes I start with, there's always 60 seconds in a minute. The conversion factor is not dependent at all on this value that I start with. Now, I'm trying to get minutes to cancel out so that I can convert to a new unit. It would be sort of like if I had in math class 2x over 2. What would happen to those 2's? They would cancel out and I would just have x. I'm trying to do the same thing, but with my units. So if I have minutes here, in order to cancel minutes, I need to put them on the bottom of my fraction. So I always set this up by doing my units on the bottom, then my units on the top, and then I'm going to add numbers. Units on bottom, units on top, and then I'm going to add numbers. So minutes on the bottom, so it will cancel with minutes. The conversion factor I have with minutes relates it to seconds. And then I figure out what makes sense. Well, 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So I put the number next to the unit it corresponds to. So I now have the math 3.5 times 60 over 1, and I'm going to put that into my calculator and get 3.5 times 60 over 1, or 210. How do I figure out what units it's in? Well, I cancel minute, and I'm left with just seconds. And so I have 210 seconds. And that would be my final answer here. We might not have one single conversion factor to go from our starting unit to final unit. For example, if I ask you how many hours are in 3,500 seconds, well, let's see. My starting unit is seconds. That's the unit with the value, the measurement that they gave me. My final unit is hours. I don't know off the top of my head how many seconds there are in 1 hour. However, I do have some conversion factors I can use to relate these two ideas. In 1 hour, I know there's 60 minutes. And then I also know in 1 minute, I have 60 seconds. So I can do that same process, just multiplying by multiple conversion factors. What do we start with? Hopefully you remember, we start with whatever measurement they give me, 3,500 seconds, times. Units on bottom, started with seconds. Seconds have to go in the bottom so that they cancel. I have seconds here, they're going to cancel. I look through my conversion factors and find seconds. I see seconds are going to relate to minutes. Awesome. So seconds and minutes. And now I add numbers, 1 minute for every 60 seconds. Now this conversion factor has been used. I'm not ending up quite yet in the unit I want. Right now I'm going to be in the unit minutes, and I'm needing to get to hours. So I do that again. I had minutes on top, and so in order to cancel, I'll need the same unit on the bottom in the next conversion factor. So units on the bottom, so that's going to be minutes. In minutes, I'll be able to convert directly to hours. So units on the bottom, units on top, and then I add in my numbers. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. And so now I have the math. 3,500 times 1 over 60 times 1 over 60 again is going to give me, I'm going to throw that into my calculator, and I put it in just like I've written it here, with parentheses, and putting it all into one line in my calculator. And I get the answer, 0.972 hours. So 3,500 seconds is the same as 0.972 hours. I confirm for myself that my units canceled. Seconds canceled with seconds. Minutes were on the top, minutes were on the bottom, and so my final unit was hours. All right, so in general, setting up a dimensional analysis problem. Well, we always set them up the same way. We always start dimensional analysis with whatever measurement I'm given, or whatever starting value I'm given. So like here, it was 3,500 seconds. The thing that's specific to the problem. So in this case, I want to know about 3,500 seconds specifically. That's what I'm going to start with. The operation performed is multiplication times. The unit I start with is going to go in the bottom, in the first conversion factor. The purpose of this thing is to change between one unit to another unit. And I might be done. This might be my final unit, and I'm good to go. If not, so I might be done. I might not even need this thing. But if not, I can do a second conversion factor. And it's not always needed. It's only needed if I don't have an easy conversion from one unit to my final unit. My final answer represents the same exact quantity, but just in a new unit. And that's it. Those are the basics. Make sure to summarize everything that you've learned in this video in your notebook and ask your teacher all of the questions you have. Thanks for watching.